Hey everybody, this is Tim Wolf, and today's topic is the song My Tears Ricochet from Taylor Swift's new album, Folklore. And there have been some requests in the comments to do this review, and I've been putting it off, frankly, because it is so deep and so emotional. It's by far my favorite song on this album, this incredible album, and I cannot listen to this song without tears welling up. It's honestly, just being brutally honest, it is an incredibly deep, emotionally well-crafted song. And as a songwriter, what I hope to do is bring emotion to the listener. And I definitely feel that Taylor did this in spades. So we'll be digging right in. Hi, I'm Tim Wolf, and I'm a Nashville singer-songwriter. And you can listen to my music in the link down below. My latest single is Born in South Dakota, and there's a link where you can actually download that song and another recent single, Castle Built of Cards, and you can get that for free. There's also a link where you can listen to the rest of my music that I've released on Spotify. And please, if you like the video, please remember to like it, share it with your friends, and if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. It does mean a lot. It does mean a lot to artists and creators on the YouTube channel. All right, so let's dig in. This song, My Tears Ricochet, is the first song that Taylor wrote for the album, and it was produced with Jack Antonoff, and he has said that that and August from the album are the two, and he's been working with her for a while, but those two songs are the two favorite things that he's done with her. And there's a lot of discussions about what is this song about. And I got on our Reddit thread, and of course, Taylor Swift fans are so deep into dissecting everything that she does and making their own merch and all that kind of stuff. It is incredible. And before this album came out, I will confess that I was not that deep into the Taylor Swiftie world, and I see how that's not a good word, how zealous her fans are. It's great. It warms my heart. The background on this song, well, like I said, the Reddit, some people thought, because it talks about someone dying and there's a funeral, there's a wake, and it also implies that maybe it's a romantic relationship because Babe, there's a reference to Babe. And so in this Reddit thread that I dug into, there were people thought it was about a story about somebody committing suicide. I couldn't go with Grace. I didn't have it in myself to go with Grace. Someone thought that had to do with someone committing suicide. Other people thought it had to do with previous romantic partners. But the overwhelming viewpoint, and my viewpoint, is that it is about the long history and hurt and pain that Taylor has gotten from Scooter Braun, and when Scooter Braun bought Big Machine Records from Scott Borchetta. So going back and talking in general about how that transpires, the first artist contract that Taylor signed with her parents was when she was 15. The record industry is noted for being really ugly against artists, and there's been a lot of dirty tricks through the years. I mean, there are many books written about it because artists are paid a percentage of the sales, and there has been rampant cooking of the books, if you will, and artists have been shortchanged. So the industry has a reputation, I don't think that can be denied, for having a lot of dirty tricks and not treating artists fairly. Many artists, especially in years gone past, had a lot of things stolen from them. Elvis Presley, his manager stole a lot from him, Colonel Parker. And you can go way back. There was a lot of bad contracts, especially a lot of African-American artists that were on the blues labels and were not given their due. So there's a long history of not treating artists fairly, and thank God now that artists are able to consider whether or not they actually want to sign with a label. But anyway, how does all that work? So what a label typically does, they'll sign an artist, and that contract is really aimed toward favoring the label. And there's a lot of stipulations in there that favor the label at the possible expense of the artist. And the artist, typically, a young artist, getting signed is a big deal, all excitement. And they're thinking that, oh my gosh, I've finally made it now. And that is the desire. Artists want to have success and get their music heard. And that overwhelming desire to do that kind of makes someone overlook maybe the dangers. And especially when when that someone is 15 years old. And now her father, I'm sure, helped her advise her, but her father didn't have history in the music business. And in fact, he actually bought 3% of Big Machine Records when they moved to Nashville. So he was a part owner of the record company. Now, what those contracts typically do is they give the record company the rights to the masters, which are the recordings of the song, for perpetuity. Usually, there's never, historically, the record company doesn't ever have to give up those rights. And that is money in the bank for them. Now, the songwriting part of it, they don't usually own the songwriting part. And so Taylor, I believe, still owns the rights to the songs on those first 6 albums. But that is only, there's 2 streams of revenue from music. It's the songwriting and it's the actual recordings. Now, there can be other recordings. If someone else would cover one of her songs and put it out, that would be a different master, obviously, but she would still get her songwriting part because she had written the song, or her co-writers, if that was such a thing. So the standard contract 15 years ago, when she signed that contract, definitely was that the masters belonged to the label for perpetuity. And here's the thing about labels. Labels, I will say it, major labels really have a very, very poor percentage success rate. I read an article just today I was reading that it was saying, I did a deep dive study, and I will post a link to it in the comments, that said that record labels, on average, only 0.2% of artists that are signed to labels actually recoup their advance and succeed and keep their deal. That's a batting average of 0.002, for if anyone's a baseball fan. That is atrocious. I don't think there's any other business in the world that could survive with such a poor success rate. That when you look at it from that point, the labels really don't do a very good job of marketing. And how they survive is they make whatever sales the other 99% make, they get a portion of that. But of the 0.2 that make it, they usually go huge and they become like the Bruno Mars and the Post Malones and the Cardi B's, et cetera, of the world, and pay the bills for everybody else. So, I mean, I don't have a high regard for labels. I mean, there are good labels that are white knight labels out there, but in general, labels are considered, in fact, there's a lot of articles, and I'll put a link to it down below for you artists, that by entrepreneur.com, Circa is the guy who writes it, and he strongly says why you should never sign a label deal. So anyway, so Taylor and her parents did sign that deal, and that means that they have ownership of the masters, and that is what this is all about. And so then Taylor, like a lot of artists when they become really successful, they want to reclaim and somehow negotiate to get their artists or get their masters back. And it's if they have enough firepower, if they have enough leverage, maybe they can. And according to what Taylor put out, she wanted to buy her masters back from Big Machine, but the only offer that was given to her that she could earn them back by re-signing, I guess her contract was up after the six albums, she could re-sign with them, and for every new album she put out, she could gain the rights to the oldest one. So she'd have to put out another 6 albums before she could get rights to all 6. And then would she have to do the same thing for those next 6? That was unclear. But that really, for a woman, for an artist of her stature, she had just won Artist of the Decade by the AMAs, and I mean, she's at the top of the game for a woman of her stature I think rightfully did not sign that deal, but she wanted to buy the masters back. I'm sure she would have had the wherewithal and the financial ability to buy them back based on her history and what she's accomplished. But apparently, from her side of the story, that was not something that was possible. So then you have, what is the beef with Scooter Braun? What's the beef with him? So that goes all the way back to when she won the VMA Awards and Kanye West got on stage. I mean, if you look at that video, Taylor looks like this innocent and just, you want to hug her, teenage girl, which is what she was. And Kanye gets on stage and the confusion, she was happy that she won, and then he gets on the stage and says that Beyonce had the best video and shouldn't have won, and he grabs the mic from her and talks into the mic. I mean, that's completely inappropriate. So that started with her beef with Kanye, and I guess it continued through the years. And then there was an supposed effort from Kanye, and Kanye now is being managed by Scooter Braun, or has a connection with Scooter Braun, and as management team. And then the album Famous came out, or the song Famous came out from Kanye. And before that, he had a phone call with Taylor where he supposedly discussed the lyrics of the Famous lyrics. And there was a recording that Taylor did not consent to of that phone call. And you can hear it that Taylor, to me, it struck me as Taylor was someone who wanted to get along, didn't want to be a bad person. And if you watch her Americana video, she even talks about, for the longest time, she wanted to be that good girl. She wanted to be someone who didn't offend anyone else and who pleased everyone else. So I think it fits with the narrative. And you can even tell it if you listen to that audio, which I believe you can find online. And she's trying to be the good person, and Kanye is coming across, but he was very disingenuous, very dishonest, that he never explicitly just said that he was going to put in the lyrics, I made that bitch famous, and also, I think Taylor and I could still have sex. So that album came out, or there's a video of him in a concert. It was in her Americana Girl, her Netflix video, of all the fans shouting the lyrics to I made that famous, and I think Taylor and I will still have sex. So that became a famous line that everybody knew about, and embarrassing to Taylor. And even on top of that, there was a recording that was made by Kim Kardashian without her consent. And they said, well, you consented to it, but they never explicitly said those are the lines. Then Kanye took it another level, and he released the video for that song. And he had wax figures made of a number of celebrities, Donald Trump, who wasn't president yet, George W. Bush, and some other people. And he had a video made of Taylor Swift, a wax figure made of Taylor Swift, and it was shown full frontal nudity. And it was a wax figure, but those figures, based on what I saw, seemed to be they had a pretty good artist do that, and it looked like her. I mean, I looked at that and I said, because I'd never seen the video until I researched for this video, and I was like, was that really Taylor? Was that like a sex tape that somebody stole? No, it's a real lifelike version of her. And she even mentions this in the controversy that came, that Scooter Braun was in support of Kanye West putting out that video, stripped her naked. She mentioned this as some of the pain that she felt that came from Kanye West, and she said that Scooter Braun was behind supporting all that. So when Scooter Braun was the one who bought her masters, it was the worst possible scenario for her, and the emotional pain that she felt was just off the charts, because she said it was my worst case scenario. And she said that someone who, every time that Scott heard me talk about Scooter Braun, it was because I was crying. So with that long description of the background, many of you probably know most of that history. If in fact the song My Tears Ricochet is about that situation, that is the background. And Taylor went on to sign with another label, and she, based on her tweets and posts on social media, their agreement is that she has a path to own her masters, which a lot of new artists are doing. Even new artists that haven't made it famous yet are negotiating hard to say there's got to be a way that I can own my masters and you won't have them in perpetuity. Because there are a lot of artists who have made it. Chance the Rapper won a Grammy Best New Artist and he wasn't even signed. So the games have changed, and the artists and the labels don't have all the cards anymore. It can be done without a major label. So that's the scenario that transpired, and Taylor claims that she didn't know about the deal that Scooter was going to buy Big Machine, and she found out through the news, and there was a lot of kind of a pissing match back and forth. And then there was a little bit of back and forth between her and Justin Bieber, who posted in defense of Scooter Braun because he's also being managed by Scooter Braun. And he said that, "I love you, Taylor." And he posted a picture of a really young Taylor Swift and a really young Justin Bieber back in the day. And he posted something on Instagram that Taylor took offense to, of a picture. And she said she was being bullied. And Justin did apologize for that. But he said that we can talk about this and we should have a phone call. The wife of Scooter Braun, Yael, Y-A-E-L, don't know how to pronounce that, she said, "You had a chance," this was all on social media, "you had a chance to buy your masters. You passed. Your dad is a shareholder and was notified, and Borchetta personally told you before this came out, so you didn't find out with the world." Well, if Taylor is saying that the way for her to own her masters was to earn it one master at a time, that's not really an outright sale. That's a little bit not quite exactly right. And she said that her dad was notified, and he is on the board, but he did not apparently go to that board meeting and was not aware, or it's a little bit unclear. There's a lot of fogginess there. And she said that Borchetta texted her. She said she didn't get the text. So, and one of the other comments was, "I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and allow you to rewrite history and bend the truth to justify your lack of understanding of a business deal." Okay, so what are the particulars there? I mean, it's a little foggy as to what happened. There's he said, she said going on. But the bottom line, Taylor felt that she had been metaphorically raped, I would say, and she felt extremely betrayed. And assuming that this song is about that situation, some of the lyrics are just, "If I'm on fire, you'll be made of ashes too." I mean, that's one of the best lines that you could ever write. And I didn't have it in myself to go with grace. And you're the hero flying around saving face. And if I'm dead to you, why you're at the wake. People are saying that previous album when she said, where she did a little bit where the phone rang, she said, "Taylor's dead, this is the new Taylor." And that was after she left Big Machine, or she was leaving Big Machine. It was a precursor to this situation. And "You wear the same jewels that I gave you." So, I mean, the number one client that they had at Big Machine was Taylor. And so certainly she earned a lot of money for Big Machine, and whatever jewels, fancy watches, whatever Scott Borchetta would be owning would be to a large amount because of the success of Taylor's music. This line, when I'd fight, you used to tell me I was brave. That sounds to me, when you're a 15-year-old and you have a manager, and she was fighting, she wanted to put out 1989, which is a pop record, and nobody wanted her to do that, and she fought for it, and it ended up being a great move, a phenomenal move for her to move towards pop. And I would imagine a manager saying, "Fight for yourself." You're trying to counsel a young teen star. So it all, to me, I am certain that it is about that relationship. Now, she's a little bit coy about it. She claims, or she says, that it is about a romantic relationship, but songwriters are great, especially Taylor would be great at couching a situation into a romantic relationship. I mean, there are songs that are completely about other things. Like, okay, first one that comes to mind, and I know there are many, but American Woman, which was by the Guess Who, was a Canadian group, and it sounds like it's American Woman that he had a relationship with her, but it's literally about America. And the woman he's talking about is the Statue of Liberty. It's anti-war protest, and it's really not a very positive song. It was aimed towards America. So oftentimes songwriters will take a romantic framework, if you will, and use that to create a song. And Taylor's saying it's about a relationship that went bad, but that doesn't mean that it's specific, that it's not about the situation with Big Machine Records and Scooter Braun. I believe it is. And then the line, when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies. I mean, that is about as direct as it could be. How could that be about a interpersonal relationship, a failed relationship? That is about Big Machine Records and Scooter Braun and Scott Borchetta, specifically towards Scott Borchetta, because he did it for business. I mean, he got a lot of money for that. I think it was $300 million. And you turned into your worst fears. That has to hurt, because probably there were conversations about, because he was always the good guy. Big Machine Records was always the good guy in the record industry. They were going to do things a better way. And now she is alluding to that no, he got corrupted by power. He got corrupted by money. And that is a common thing. This song is absolutely amazing. And some of the details, I mean, she's great with Easter eggs. One of the Easter eggs that I heard that makes sense, she goes, oh, 6 times, and 2 times in the song. And that's 6 O's for the 6 albums that she lost, or that were taken and sold to Scooter Braun. Now, there is a positive thing. Now, these contracts, apparently she has a contract that allows her to re-record these. And she has said that she plans to. So I think it's in 2021, she has the right to start re-recording. And she can actually do her best to duplicate those albums to the nth degree, every sound, every rhythm, and make it sound as close as possible to the original recording. And then if it's past the limit, statute of limitations in the original contract, there is nothing that Scooter Braun or Scott Borchetta can do. And she can put those out on streaming and release albums, and there's nothing that she now it'll cost her money to do that, but that wouldn't be an input. That wouldn't stop her, because money is not the issue with a woman who's sold as many records as she has. And then another thing that she did, which I love, when she won the AMA Artist of the Decade, there was another brouhaha between her and Big Machine Records. They were saying they were going to allow her to perform her songs. And that was a big thing that went back and forth. And there was denials, very carefully worded denials, that they're not going to let her. And finally, they relented, and she was able to use the songs on the AMA. And she wore a jacket that had the names of her 6 albums on the jacket, and then she took the jacket off. So kind of saying, put that behind. Now, that's 6 albums, but she's got a long career ahead of her. And I think, like, if it continues like with Folklore, those 6 albums are not going to be, they're great albums, but she's going to greater heights. And that'll be, the early Taylor before she elevated. It's kind of like the Beatles. Again, I referenced to the Beatles before. The early Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and while they were still touring, and then starting about with Revolver, they just took it to another level. And Rubber Soul, and then Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I mean, that is so many. That's light years away from their early Meet the Beatles and those albums. And I think Taylor can make that same step up in her career. She's only 30 years old, and she's got longevity, very smart business person, and I look forward to hearing the music that she comes out with going forward. And in the meanwhile, I love this song. This is my favorite song from her, my favorite song on this album. It's really hard for me to listen to it without crying, and that's the honest truth. I played it for my housekeeper the other day, and I jokingly said it might make me cry, and I did not think it would, but I had tears in my eyes before it got done playing. The emotion in this song is so evocative, and I absolutely love it. So that is my dive. I didn't really get into the rhyme schemes or the mechanics of it. I guess for this one, It's more about the emotion to me and the backstory and what she was conveying. And I hope I hope you enjoyed my analysis. I know it's a long video. I hope you got something from it. Please drop comments below and let me know what you think, what I left out, what else I should have talked about, or what I got wrong, or what I got right. And I would love to hear from you. And also let me know what other music you listen to and what we can go into a deep dive together about. And I appreciate, I've had a lot of new people come on my channel, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I thank you for listening to my videos and commenting and engaging. I really hope that I'm delivering you value. And we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, this is Tim Wolf. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please go to the link down below in the description. There's a Bitly link. Listen to my music at Spotify. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to an artist if you follow them. If you would be kind enough to like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Finally, be sure to subscribe. And then also there are other videos on this screen that you can watch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.